Zhang Hao is a handsome yet ugly loser who suddenly gets transported to another world where the roles of men and women are interchanged. He relies on his perverted stepsister and his ugly friend to complete a quest which will get him back into his old world. However, due to his beauty, he attracted plenty of hot moms, cougars, and even femboys, which resulted in many plots happening. However, before all of this, Zhang Hao is just a normal office worker leaving his workplace at night. He suddenly sees that the moon has a different color, then he suddenly becomes unconscious. As Hao wakes up, he notices that everything about him has changed as he sees that he is wearing a pink dress and there are teddy bears on his bed. Hao's father comes to the room with an apron on his neck, and he tells Hao that he should get ready as his friend Long Long is coming to meet him so that they can go shopping together. Hao's father also adds that he should learn to be like his friend who knows how to dress up and make up for himself. Bai begins to wonder why he has to go shopping with Long Long. Then, after a few minutes, Long Long arrives and Hao's father shows him how dressed Long Long is, and he reminds Hao that he should learn from him. Hao suddenly checks his phone and realizes that the world has changed as male are acting like females and vice versa. He also learns that the men are prone to abuse and the females are the ones in charge of physical works. Then he follows Long Long, and as Long Long tells him that they have to get some makeup accessories, Hao becomes furious and he tells Long Long that he is going to make them get their masculinity back. Then he drags Long Long into a tattoo shop, but the ladies tell him that they cannot get the tattoos. Later that evening, Hao becomes disappointed, and later that night, Zhao sits with his family, and he realizes that his father has a new wife, which makes him have a stepsister named Kankin. But as they talk while eating, Hao stands up and he goes to his room. As he begins to think of how the world has turned, he gets angry and throws his teddy bear at his sister, who enters his room at the same time, and as she pulls him close to ask him what is wrong, he tells her that he is okay. Hao sleeps in his room, and suddenly someone enters his room, and when he wakes up to ask who is in his room, that a lady tells him that she is responsible for making him land in another world. She also introduces herself as the goddess of the red moon, and she tells him how he had always complained of his normal world. She tells him that he has to complete the task of being a man if he wants to go back to his real world. Then she disappears as she leaves Hao thinking about what she had said. The following morning, Hao wakes up and thinks that he had a dream about the goddess of the red moon, but he suddenly sees a red cloth on the floor, which makes him believe that he did not have a dream as it happened in reality. Hao gets out of bed, and he begins to think about the task given to him by the goddess of the red moon, and he decides to have a research on the world. He is in so that he would be able to become a man in such world. Hao tells himself that he does not have any money to hire a researcher, and he immediately concludes that he has to work to earn money so that he would be able to finish the task and go back to his real world. As Hao goes out of his room to go for a walk, he sees his sister Qin, and she asks him if he would like to taste her cooking. Then he tells himself that he would have been able to endure if all the ladies in the world would be like his stepsister. The following day, Hao prepares to go to school, and as he eats his breakfast with his family, he becomes uncomfortable with the way they are behaving, and he immediately announces to them that he is going to school. On getting to school, Long Long begins to tell Hao about the new lip gloss he had just bought, but Hao pushes him away and tells him to act like a man as he is behaving like a lady. Then Long Long tries to talk to Hao as he tells him that he has changed from who he used to be because they used to talk about cosmetics and other things before. Hao tells him that he is starting a journey to be a man, but Long Long interrupts him and tells him that a pervert is looking at them. But as Hao checks, he sees a girl peeping as she looks at them. Then he tells Long Long that the girl is harmless. Long Long ignores Hao as he grabs him to run away, but after running for a while, Hao gets tired and he tells himself that he does not think his new body is as strong as his old body, but he yells himself that he should still have his strength from his real life. As Long Long and Hao walk to the class, Hao sees as a boy goes to meet a girl to open his water bottle for him, and Zhao becomes furious as he sees this. Then he immediately walks towards the two students and collects the water bottle from the girl. Hao tries to open the water bottle, but he notices that he could not open it. But after a few minutes, he gives up and gives the water bottle back to the girl, who eventually opens it with no stress. Hao becomes disappointed, and he sits on a chair as he faces down to tell himself that he cannot become a real man. Then the ladies come to meet him to ask him if he needs anything, but Long Long tells them that he is slightly ill and they should not bother as he would be okay. Hao decides to go to the restroom, and as he walks through the hallway, Long Long immediately calls Hai and tells him to wait for him, so that they would go to the restroom together. But Hao pretends as if he cannot hear what Long Long is saying, and he immediately goes to the restroom after listening to the way the ladies are talking about spending more time with him. Hao walks back to his class as he tells himself that he has to become a man. Then he checks his phone to see if he can get where he can start working out so that he would not be so weak. But as he checks his phone, a girl suddenly asks him what he is looking at, and as he gets shocked, he recognizes the girl as Wan Yuan, who sits next to him in the class. Ho asks Yuan why she sneaked up on him, and she tells him that she had been calling him, but he did not answer her. Then she begins to ask him if he is okay, and he tells her that he is fine, but she keeps asking him. And she also asks him if he wants her to give him a massage session, but Hao pushes her away, and he notices that he does not have any strength to keep her away from himself. Then he sees the teacher entering their class, and he tells Yuan that she should leave him alone. As the teacher begins to teach them, Hao notices that he does not know anything, but he remains confident as he tells himself that he should be able to remember and be the star student in the school. As the teacher notices him, she asks him if he is okay, and she also asks if he is not having a butt pain, and Hao tells her that he is okay. Then he begins to hear some students talking about him as they ask each other if he is okay, because they had heard that he fell and hit his head, and that might have caused him to be behaving weirdly. Ha tells himself as he becomes sad that he would continue to do whatever he wants without thinking of what people would think about him. After class, Long Long walks with Hao, and he notices how Hao is, and he asks him what is wrong with him. Then Hao tells him that he is tired as he was unable to get enough sleep the previous night. But as they decide to go and eat in the cafeteria, a girl calls Hao to tell him that she just scored a goal in a game, but Hao ignores her. And when they are almost to the cafeteria, another lady comes to meet Hao to ask him if he would love to go out with her, but Hao rejects the girl, and Long Long tells him that he would love to be like him, as there are a lot of girls who would want to go out with him. At the cafeteria, Hao sees the portion of food the boys are eating, and when he asks Long Long, he tells him that they have to eat like that to maintain their weight, but Hao disagrees with him and immediately tells the chef to give him more food with meat. As they sit to eat, Hao begins to eat like he does normally, but Long Long tells him that it is rude to eat loudly, but Hao ignores him. Soon, Liu Feng, who is also a student, comes to meet Hao and insults him for eating rudely, but Hack insults him back and Liu Feng begins to cry, and the remaining students begin to wonder why Hao is mean and acting weird. Suddenly, a girl moves to the table, and she supports Hao as she tells them that he can do whatever he likes, and she also offers Hao her own portion of meat. Then Hao becomes surprised, and he tells himself that the lady is beautiful as she might be his Princess Charming. Long Long tells Hao that the lady is named Ying, and she has had a crush on him since, and on hearing that, Hao collects her own food and eats it too. Then he tells Liu Feng that he should get out of his sight as he is disturbing him. He also insults Liu Feng, and as Liu Feng walks away with some boys, they begin to talk about how rude Hao has become. Ying asks Long Long if he has tried the game she recommended for him, but as Long Long explains the game to Hao, he realizes that the game is meant for boys in his real world, and he becomes confused as the game is tagged as a girl's game, The New World. He tells Long Long that he has to go back to the classroom. Long Long immediately tells Yang that they have to go, and he hurriedly follows Hao, but Yang sits as she becomes sad that Hao has not accepted her. In the classroom, Hao notices a girl sitting all by herself, and when he asks Long Long about the girl, he realizes that she is an exchange student and Long Long also likes the girl. Then he tells Long Long that he should talk to the girl, but Long Long disagrees. Hao then stands up and drags Long Long to go and talk to the girl, but when he tries to talk to the girl, she replies to him and introduces herself as Min Yuya. Hao offers to be the girl's friend, and as he sees Yuan, he also introduces them to each other, and he tells Yuan to make friends with Yuya, and he convinces himself that he is already doing the task given to him by the goddess of the Red Moon. Hao sits in his room as he listens to a rock music, and he tells himself that it is part of the step of being a real man. Then he is suddenly interrupted when he hears a knock on his door, and as the door opens, he sees that it is his sister, Qin. Qin enters Hao's room, and she moves closer to him to ask him what he is listening to. Then she removes the earplug from his ear and places it in hers, but as she listens to the song, she tells him that he is different from other boys because of his choice of music. Hao begins to think otherwise as his sister becomes too close to him. Then he becomes confused as he could not decipher if he should be a Sigma or an alpha male. He also tells himself that the teenage body he is trapped in is making his hormones go wild, but as he pins Qin down, she asks him if he wants a hug, but as he decides to be an alpha male, he suddenly remembers a statement and he gets disturbed by it. Ha then asks her if he should cut his hair to make it short, or he should leave it the way it is, and she tells him that he would look good in anything he chooses. Later that afternoon, Joe goes to cut his hair, and when he cuts it short, he realizes that he did not become ugly. Then he goes back home to check his wardrobe, and when he opens the wardrobe, he notices that all the clothes there are all in pinch and female colors. Suddenly, Hong hears his name being called, and when he goes out to help his father becomes shocked that he cut his hair short. Then he begins to yell at him that he should take him to the salon that spoilt his hair. Ha then tells his father that it was his choice, and his father becomes shocked. Hao's father begins to beat him, and when his sister comes to intervene, she takes his side and saves him from his father by telling him that she was the one that advised him to do whatever he likes. After his father had left, Hao thanks Kin, but she tells him to come and see her in her room later as she has a present for him. Hao goes to Kin's room, and her room was not as bright as his own room. Then she hands him a piece of jewelry as a present. Then he thanks her and begins to wonder if she is his sister or a sugar mummy. Hao goes back to his room, and when he checks the jewelry, he sees that it is made out of black diamond, and he begins to tell himself that he is too broke to have such an expensive jewelry. Hao checks his account balance and notices that he does not have any money at the same time. He receives a message from Long Long, who tells him that he has just released his novels. Then Hao tells himself that he can also start writing a novel to make more money. Hao also tells himself that he could use the ideas of his real world to write a story. Then he finally decides to borrow ideas from some stories he had read before. In school the following day, Ho gets a message from the site that he uploaded his novel on, and they tell him that his novel has passed the review stage. And he becomes very excited as he would soon be making money. He decides to celebrate by buying an ice cream popsicle, but as he moves towards a shop, he suddenly remembers some of his memories of the place. He remembers that he used to be friends with the daughter of the owner, Mei, who saved him from bullies the first time they met. He also remembers that they had become good friends since then, but she had rejected him the day he confessed his feelings to her as she told him that she preferred muscular men. Ha decides to go and check if he would be able to talk to her, as he is looking more muscular than he was that time. But as he enters the shop, he hears the way she is arguing with her father about marriage. Ha tells himself that Mei has not changed since the way he had remembered her to be, but he enters the inner section of the shop and he suddenly sees a muscular person who looks just like Mei, and the person calls his name. He suddenly realizes that the muscular lady is Mei, and he becomes scared as he falls to the ground. Then she tells him that his haircut is nice, but Ho begins to yell as he becomes very shocked. Mei carries Hao and sits him on a chair. Then she begins to offer him food and drinks, but Hao rejects them. Then Hao immediately tells her that he has to go, and he runs away leaving Mei, as she wonders why he is being polite with her. Hao gets home and he begins to recount what he needs money for, and he suddenly hears Kin's voice as she asks him why he is getting a worried look in his face. Hao suddenly sees Kin practicing yoga, and he tells himself that he is happy to see that females are still practicing yoga in the world. But he gets disappointed when Kin tells him that she decides to try exercises for the boys as they got bored with their own regular exercises. Kin tells Hao to practice yoga, but he immediately tells her that they should try to arm wrestle, and Kin tells him that they should place a bet, as the winner would tell the loser to do something. When they begin, Hao uses all his strength to try to defeat his sister, but Kin does not put much efforts in defeating him. After defeating her brother, Kin tells Hao that she would want him to try a lap pillow, and as Hao agrees, she immediately lays on his lap and tells him that his laps are comfortable to sleep on. Hao tells his sister that she can sleep on his laps for as long as she wants. Ho sits in his room one afternoon and he suddenly receives a text message from Yuan as she tells him that they're all going to the park to see a haunted house along with Yua, and she also adds that she has sent Long Long to come and get him. Hao immediately hears Long Long's voice, and when he goes to meet him, a little girl jumps on Hao, and when he asks Long Long who she is, Long Long reminds him that she is his younger sister Lin. Ha tells Long Long that they should go and discuss in his room, and in his room, Long Long persuades Ha that he should follow them to the park, but he tells Long Long that the park is boring. Then Long Long reminds him that he had agreed to help Yue overcome her anti-social barriers. Ha eventually agrees to go, and he tells Long Long to excuse him while he dresses up. Then, after a few minutes, he finishes dressing up in style and soon they head for the park after Ha takes some pictures of himself. On getting to the park, Yue compliments Hao's dress, and after discussing it for a while, they all decide to go to the haunted house. On getting to the haunted house, Yuan shares them into two groups, and she only puts Hao and Yue in a group as she tells Yue that she should take care of Hao, because their job is to watch over the boys. But Lin begins to yell at Yuan that she wants to be in the same group as Hao. Yuan ignores Lin and they all go inside the haunted house, and as Yuan takes Lin and Long Long, he begins to scream as he gets scared of the haunted house. Meanwhile, as Hao and Yue walks in the house, Ho tells her that she can hold his hand if she is scared, and she immediately holds his hand, but as there are a lot of things trying to scare them, Hao does not get scared. Then he suddenly notices that Yue is missing. Hao begins to look for her, and soon he sees her in a closet where she had gone to hide. He then tells her to come out, that he would protect her. But as they get outside, they see that Yuan and the others are already outside. Long Long continues to yell as he asks Hao why he was not scared in the haunted house. Then Yuhua follows Hao, and she suddenly falls down as she is sweating profusely. Hao holds Yuhua and tells the rest that she has fainted due to the fear from a haunted house. Then he suggests that they should go and lay her does on a chair in the park. Long Long begins to get worried, but Hao tells them that they should go and get her food and a drink so that she would take them once she regains her consciousness. As they rest leaves, Hao places Yuhua's head on his laps to make her more comfortable, and he decides to pinch her ear to see if she would wake up, and as he punches her ear, she wakes up and asks him why he is pinching her. He tells her that he wanted her to wake up, and he also asks if she is having any discomfort, but she tells him that she is okay and she was only scared. Hao tries to lift her head away from his laps, but she tells him that she still wants to rest for a while. Then Hao begins to tell himself that she is the only weakest girl he has met in the world. Later, Yuan comes back with the food and water. Then after taking the food, Yuan tells them that they should still go to the park, but Hao tells them that they should not go as they need to escort Yuhua to her house. They all agree to go, and on the way to Yuhua's house, Long Long tells her that her house is far, but as they continue to talk in the car, Hao shuts them up, and soon they arrive at a big mansion. In front of the mansion there are maids and a butler who immediately tells Yuhua, as he sees her, that her father has warned her not to go too far from the house, but on seeing this, they all become surprised to know that Yuhua is a girl from a wealthy background. The butler welcomes Yuhua's friends, and he offers them snacks with tea, and he immediately tells Yuhua that she should go and change her clothes. Yuan and Long Long continue to discuss how big Yuhua's house is, but Hao tells them to be quiet. The butler takes Yuhua inside, and she asks him if her parents had sent her a message, but he tells her that they are still busy, and they would not be able to come home or talk to her. The butler also tells her that they had sent her a gift, but it has been shipped, but she ignores him and enters her room to change her clothes. Later, Yuhua comes out to meet her friends, and they all become surprised as they see her in a dress. Then Hao asks her what is wrong as he notices that she is sad, and she tells him that her dad did not call her. As Hao asks what she meant by what she said, she immediately pulls Hao and tells him that she wants to show him some things in her room. As they get to her room, Yuhua explains how her parents do not have time for her because of their jobs, but Hao consoles her that she has new friends who would keep her company if she feels bored. She opens a compartment and she shows Hao the different kinds of models of toy guns she has. Then she immediately gives Hao the one she likes best, but Hao feels weird as he sees her large collection. She suddenly hugs Hao and tells him that they should be friends forever. As the students begin to tell Yuhua that they are going, she bids them farewell, and Hao tells her that they would meet in school the following day. Then they all talk about what they have seen in the huge mansion. On their way home, Long Long tells Hao that he wants to go and get some clothes, and Hao suddenly remembers that he also wants to change the clothes in his wardrobe. Then he tells Long Long that they should go shopping the next day. The following day, Long Long and Hao go to the mall, and after buying clothes, Long Long tells Hao that they should go and eat. As they enter a restaurant, a lady sees Hao and takes his picture secretly, and Zhou immediately feels like someone is looking at him. He wears a cap and explains to Long Long that he has to hide, but unknown to him. The lady uploads his picture, and people begin to comment about him as they appreciate how beautiful he is. One of the viewers then tells the lady that he has seen Hao's picture somewhere, and the lady tells him that it is on Lin's status. After shopping, Hao goes home and he relaxes as he is stressed as a result of the shopping. But he suddenly receives a call from Long Long that he should check the internet and see that his picture is going viral. As Hao checks it, he sees that it is true, and he becomes shocked. Suddenly, Kin comes home, and she also tells Hao about the picture she saw. Then she tells him that he should be careful as he goes out, because there would be a lot of women who wants to harass him. That she also tells him that she would not allow him to be harassed by any woman. On his way to school, Hao dodges and hides for some ladies as they are chasing him because of his picture that they had seen on the internet. As Hao hides, Long Long calls him and tells him that he should not come to school as there are a lot of ladies at the school entrance because they had gotten an information that he attends that school. Hao begins to think of how he would take a leave from school. Then he suddenly messages his elder sister, Kin, and he tells her that she should help him to take the leave from school so that he would be able to go back home. Back at home, Hao becomes bored and he decides to play the video game, and as he plays it, he notices that he is still good in playing games, and he continues to defeat his opponent. Later in the evening, he decides to do a live stream of his game with his opponent, and when he starts, he gets scared at first, and as he continues to defeat his opponent, the lady playing with him begins to wonder why the person defeating her is so good at the game. The opponent thinks Hao is cheating, and she tells him that he should be careful as he would be in trouble if he is found cheating, but Hao tells her that he is not cheating. She then tells him that she has added some people into the live stream, and they would like to see him while playing the game. Hao continues to defeat his opponent, and when he put on his video camera, he only shows his hands while playing the game, and all the ladies on the live stream begins to comment on Hao's hands, and they tell him that his hands are beautiful, and they beg him to show his face, but he does not disclose his identity to them. One of the viewers of the live stream tells herself that if the company signs Hao the new player, they would get more money. Hao ends the live stream, but as he is about to end it, his followers tell him that he should not end it, but he tells them that he has to go. Then he gives them a time to join him for another live stream the following day. The following day, Hao meets Long Long to ask him about the situation at the school, and Long Long tells him that the people looking for him in school have reduced them. He tells Long Long that he has to keep a low profile as he goes to school by wearing a hat to disguise himself. He also informs Long Long about his live streams of the game, and Long Long gets excited as he could make money and become an internet celebrity, but Hao tells him that he would not be able to concentrate on school if he becomes a celebrity because a lot of people would be after him. Suddenly, Hao receives a message from the platform of the game that he should contact their administrator to sign a contract as his live stream made him more popular. As Hao tells Long Long becomes very excited, and he tells him to go and sign the contract, but Hao suddenly notices that some strange people are looking at him. Hao tells Long Long that they should leave, and when they get to the streets, he immediately tells Long Long that he wants to go somewhere. Then he leaves, but as he is on his way, he tells the people following him that they should come out as he has seen them. That a lady comes out, and she tells him that she is lucky to meet him because he is the most beautiful person she has ever seen. Hao immediately asks her who she is as he starts to get uncomfortable. The lady's younger sister immediately answers Hao that her sister's name is Liu, and Liu tells Hao that she would like him to be her boyfriend, but Hao tells them to leave him alone, but the girl does not answer him. She begins to tell him that he is beautiful, and as she moves closer to him, she tells him that he has to accept to be her boyfriend, or she would use the knife with her to spoil his beauty if he rejects her. Hao tells her not to harm him, but as she tries to get too close to Hao, so that she would keep the knife close to his face, Hao immediately uses some of his combat skills, which he had in his real life, and he manages to push Liu away. Then she tells him that she likes the way he is acting hard to get. Hao takes the knife, and he tells himself that he does not believe that he would have an upper hand in such situation, and as he holds the knife, he uses his phone to call the police, and he tells Liu and the girls that the police is on the phone with him, and they would have them arrested if they do not leave him alone as he has not dropped the call. Liu tells him that he is smart, and she tells him that she would let him go, but before he goes, she takes his picture. A lady asks a man in her office why she has to go through the stress of finding a man as it is the job of her scouts, but the man addresses her as why. Then he tells her that it was an order from the chairman who told him that they would discuss it in person when he gets back from his trip. The lady also asks the man why they have to find her a baby daddy. Then she asks for the picture, and the man shows her a picture of Hao. Then as she looks at the picture, she tells the man that Hao looks like a college student, but she thinks he has a good personality, and he would also make a good chairman if he is trained well. In school, Hao and Long Long plays basketball, and when Hao sneezes, Long Long tells him that they should go and do another thing as he is catching a cold, and also because basketball is a game for ladies. Hao tells him that he is not catching a cold, and he also adds that basketball can also be played by boys. Then Hao suddenly notices that someone has taken his picture, but when he checks, he sees no one. Meanwhile, Liu Feng and his friend talks about how bad Hao is, and they tell themselves that they would still catch him in the act of doing something bad. The person who took Hao's picture is the younger sister of Liu, who attacked Hao the previous day, and she tells herself that she could use the picture to get money from her elder sister. During closing hour, Hao bids Yua farewell, and he also greets Long Long, but he notices that someone was watching him, and when Long Long asks him why he has been looking at his side since, he tells him that he is feeling like someone is watching him. Hao then tells Long Long that he should be going home, but as he walks away from his friends, he begins to wonder if Qin was the one who took a picture of him, which he saw on the internet. Hao then goes to where the person is hiding, and he pulls the girl who had been taking his pictures, but he notices that it is not his sister Qin. He asks the girl why she is taking his pictures secretly, but the girl denies it at first, and she later confessed that Liu had posted it on a group that she would reward anyone who could get her clear pictures of him with 200 yuan. Hao tells the girl to delete the pictures, and as the girl runs away, he tells himself that he has to do something about his issue with Liu Xin. The following afternoon, Long Long follows Hao to the mall to get a gift for Qin, and as they walk in the mall, Long Long asks Zhao if he has accepted the contract of the game, and he tells him that he has accepted it, but he had given the administrator some rules guiding him. Hao also adds that they listened and agreed to his conditions without complaining. Then Long Long begins to get excited as he tells Hao that he is very admirable with what he has done. Liu Feng and his friends are also in the same mall, and when they see Hao and Long Long, They begin to talk about how they hate the way the ladies admire Hao, as if he is the only boy in the school. Then Liu tells them that he has an idea that they should post a lot of Hao's ugly pictures on the internet, and as the ladies sees it, they would all begin to lose interest in him. Long Long tells Hao while they leave a shop that he should get her an expensive belt, but Hao tells her that he wants to buy something more expensive, as she had gifted him a diamond earrings. And on hearing this, Long Long gets excited, and he tells Hao that he wants to see it, but Hao tells him that he did not bring it with him. Hao tells Long Long that he wants to go to the restroom, and as Liu Feng and his friends sees that they have entered the restroom, Liu Feng tells his friends that it is their chance to get an ugly picture of Hao. Then he instructs two of his friends to go and get the picture, because Hao would recognize him if he goes by himself. The two boys enter the restroom, and one of them intentionally bumps into Hao, and he accuses Hao of hitting him. Soon, they get into an argument, and one of the boys tries to hit Long Long, but Hao stops him and tells him to leave his friend alone. Hao then tells the boys to stop bothering them, but the boy who bumped into Hao begins to insult him, and Hao punches him in the face. Then the second boy also interferes, and Hao doesn't hesitate as he begins to hit the two boys. After beating the boys, Hao tells Long Long that they should leave, but one of the boys gets angry as Hao has beaten him. Then he tells himself that he would tell his girlfriend, so that she would hire girls to beat Hao up. As Hao and Long Long leave the mall, they are stopped outside the mall by the boy who threatened to call his girlfriend. The boy's girlfriend asks her boyfriend if the boy approaching them is the one who beat them, and he tells her that he is the one. But when Hao moves closer, she suddenly sees Hao, and she falls in love with him, but Hao tells them to leave him alone as he would beat them up. Meanwhile, Liu Feng goes to hide in a place, and he begins to record all that is happening so that he would be able to post it on the internet in order to make Hao look like a bad person. The boy's girlfriend begins to talk to Hao with a calm voice, and her boyfriend immediately yells at her that she should not be calm with Hao because he had made him suffer by beating him. But the lady warns her boyfriend as she tells him that he should not yell at Hao because of their misunderstanding. She also threatens her boyfriend that she would not buy him the bag he wanted if he continues to insult Hao. Then she tells Hao to give her his number so that she would send him a gift to apologize for what her boyfriend did to him, but Hao refuses her. Wei, who is the lady that was given Hao's picture, comes to the mall to check on one of her businesses, but as she gets down from her car, she suddenly sees Hao and she recognizes him with his name that was given to her. As Liu Feng continues to record the video, Liu comes behind him and she asks him what he is doing, and he lies to her, but she immediately collects his phone, and when she sees the video Feng is recording, she threatens him, and he begins to beg her that she should not hit him, but she tells him to follow her, and he obeys. Liu immediately walks up to Hao, and as she talks to Hao that she misses him, he ignores her. Then Long Long begins to ask him why there are more people coming after him. Liu then tells Hao, as he turns to go, that she saw Liu Feng taking pictures of him secretly, and she pushes Liu Feng with her leg, and tells Hao that she caught him for his sake, so that he would be able to deal with him however he wants. Hao still ignores her until she immediately brings out a bouquet of flowers, and she begins to beg Hao to date her, because she really likes him, but Hao tells her that he is not interested in her, because he does not want to have anything to do with her, as she is acting too nice towards him, after trying to harm him with a knife the first day they met. He also recounts how she had harassed him by threatening him with a knife. Then he tells her that she should forget about him, and when they meet in the future she should act as if she has never met him before, but he also tells her that if she continues to look for him, he would have no choice than to call the police on her. Long Long asks Hao if he is planning to kill someone, but Liu immediately moves towards Long Long, and she asks him if he is Hao's friend. Then Hao asks her if she is checking his fries out as well, but she tells them that it is her sisters that like Long Long, and if they should go crazy with him, she would not be able to do anything about it. Hao sees what Liu is trying to do, and he immediately tells himself that she is trying to use his friend to threaten him. Liu tells Hao that she would love to have a drink with him, and he immediately asks her the time and location. Then Liu tells him, and she also tells him to make sure he shows up, and he tells her that he always keeps to time for appointments. As they continue to walk, Long Long asks Hao if he knows that the lady that approached them looked like a gangster, as she had tattoos on her body. Then he tells him that they should call the police, but Hao tells him that they have no evidence against them, and he wants to meet her in the bar to see her attitude. Long Long tells Hao that he should be careful, but Hao tells him that he would be okay as he has practiced some kung fu skills. As they were discussing, a lady comes to meet Hao, and she tells him that her master, Wei, wants to see him. Then he begins to wonder who the person is, and he immediately tells them that he would follow them, but he tells Long Long that he should go home, as he would call him if he needs anything. Hao follows the woman to see Wei, and when he gets to the office, he meets Wei, who tells him that she would make him popular and rich if only he signs a contract. Ho collects the contract from the assistant, and when he goes through it, he tells them that he is not interested, but the assistant tells him to sign the contract, as he would be lucky if he does. Then she begins to insist that he signs the contract, and Ho immediately uses his kung fu skills on her as she was holding him. Lai becomes surprised at Ho's skills, and she tells him to think about her offer to him. But he begins to wonder what kind of woman she is. Ho returns home, and he brings out some of the stuff he had bought so that he would be able to protect himself from Liu if he goes to meet her at the bar. He also sends a message to Long Long that he should call the police if he does not call him in the night. Then he sets out with his recording pen, knife, and wolf spray. On getting to the bar, Ho meets a lady who directs him to where Liu is sitting, and when he gets there, he tells Liu that she should stop following him around, but Liu tells him that she wants him and would do anything to get him. Then a lady comes to meet Ho and tells him that he should cooperate with her sister or she would make sure she hurts him. Ho becomes happy as they are talking as he wanted because he had turned on his pen recorder, and as the lady brings out a knife, Ho immediately sprays the wolf spray on her eyes and uses the opportunity to threaten Liu that he would kill her if Liu does not let him go. Liu lets Ho leave, and she tells herself that she would make sure she looked for him again, and suddenly the girl Ho had used as an hostage sends a picture of the pen recorder to Liu, as he had recorded all what they had said, and he also threatens to report and give it to the police as evidence if she disturbs him again. Liu becomes angry as Ho runs away, but unknown to him, he is being watched by Wai's assistant, who immediately tells her that Ho is safe. In school, Ho begins to wonder if Liu would stop bothering him after he had threatened her, but he suddenly hears a rumor from some students that the chairman of Fenghong Company has made Liu quit her job as a lord in the streets. Then Ho begins to wonder where he had heard the name of the company, and he immediately remembers that it is from Wai. On getting home from school, Ho meets his sister Qin as she is making food for them, and when he asks about his father and his stepmother, Qin tells him that they would not be coming home as they are working overnight. After dinner, Ho tells his sister that he wants to help her with the plates, but she tells him that he cannot allow him to stain his beautiful hands with oil, and she immediately tells him to go and do his homework and relax after. After his homework, Ho begins his live broadcast, and after 2 hours, he ends the broadcast and he sees Qin as she comes to meet him in his room. She tells him that she wants to give him a massage so that he would sleep well, but Ho tells her not to bother as she has been doing her chores. Qin immediately sits in Ho's bed, and she pulls him closer to herself that they should rest together. But Ho asks her what she is doing as they are family, but on hearing what Ho had said, Qin begins to cry, and Ho asks her why she is crying. Qin tells Ho that she is crying because she is happy as he told her that she is family to him. Then he wipes her tears and tells her that he is grateful to her as she is treating him like a family. Then Qin immediately turns away from Ho, and when he asks why, she tells him that she is not supposed to cry like that in front of him as she is supposed to be strong so that she would take care of him. Ho then tells Qin that she can also have feelings as it is normal. Then Ho begins to remember how grateful he is to have a complete family in his new world as his father would not be lonely. Later, Qin sleeps beside Ho, and he asks her if they are going to sleep together in his room, and she tells him that they are the only ones at home, and she wants to protect him so that he would not be scared. She also tells him that she wants to have a discussion with him, and when he asks what she wants to talk to him about, she asks him the kind of girl he likes, and Ho begins to think of Yue, but he shakes his head as he tells his sister that he does not like anyone, but she tells him that he is still in school, and it would be bad for him to fall in love. The following morning, Ho wakes up, and he could not find Qin beside him. Then he gets up to go and look for her in his room, but as he gets to the room, he did not see her, and he immediately whims to check the books she has in her room, and he immediately stumbles on a book, which makes him think that Qin has something on her mind towards him. Suddenly, Ho gets a weird feeling, and he holds his head as he sees some memories, and he wonders why he is experiencing such. Ho continues his broadcast, and for a few days, he notices that his viewers are reducing, and he suddenly gets a message from the administrator of his live broadcast room that he should pick an option out of the 3 options given to him so that he would be able to gain more viewers. Some days later, Ho continues to get the message, and soon, the administrator of his room, Song, tells him that he should check and pick an option from the options he was given, and they would meet to discuss what he chooses. Ho then checks the options, and he tells himself that he is not doing any of the options as they all look and sound ridiculous to him. 3 days later, Ho goes with Long Long to see Song, and after introducing themselves, Ho tells her the reason he does not want to show his face and body parts, but she tries to convince him to start broadcasting workouts with his face hidden with a mask. Ho thinks about it, and he tells himself that he would use it as an opportunity to help the men to become stronger than the women in the world. On getting home, Ho tells his father about the new idea for his live broadcast, but his father disagrees. Ho tries to talk to his father, but his father disagrees, and Qin immediately helps him to convince his father as she tells him that she would also watch him from the side. Later that night, Ho begins the live fitness broadcast, and when people begin to watch, they comment that they would not be able to do it, and some of them tell Ho that they would continue to join his broadcast if he continues for 30 minutes. Kin watches the broadcast, and she becomes jealous as a lot of people are watching it, and they begin to comment about Ho's face. They also add that his face is beautiful even with the face mask he wore. Then Win goes to meet Ho, and a few minutes later, he finishes the fitness broadcast. Kin hands him a towel, and he tells her that the fitness broadcast is not easy as he is tired. Then she tells him to go and take his bath before he goes to bed. Later that night, Ho sleeps in his room, and suddenly, Kin goes to his room and tries to kiss him. While he is sleeping, then, she tells herself that they were separated when they were small. Ho wakes up the following morning, and he tells himself that he had a bad dream as he does not understand the dream. Then he suddenly sees Kin on his bed, and he becomes shocked. He wakes her up, and she tells him that she had come to check on him to see if he was already sleeping, but she saw that he was cute while sleeping, and that made her stay to watch him sleep. Ho immediately gets out of the bed and tells her that he is going to be late for school, but she tells him that she can drive him to school in her new car. School, Ho watches a kung fu fight on his phone, and when he sees Yuha, he asks her if she can fight, and she tells him that she had learned how to fight since she was little, because she had always wanted to become a soldier in the future. Ho asks her if she would love to teach him, and she tells him that she would then go to an abandoned warehouse behind their playing ground as they are in school early. Yuha tells Ho that they have to play a game to see his skills, and she meets him with a hug. But when they both fall down, she tells him that he has lost the game. Yuha tells Ho that she wants to communicate with him, then he asks her for a reward for trying to defeat her, but she immediately kisses his cheek, and when he asks her why she did that, she tells him that Yuan had told her that kissing is how a man and a woman communicates. Ho immediately tells her not to communicate like that with people, then he tells her that they should head for their class. Throughout the day, Yuha continues to ask Ho if she can communicate with him, but he begins to wonder why she is acting elusive as she has always been a shy person. Long Long also asks Ho why Yuha wants to communicate with him, but he tries to change the topic as he does not want Long Long to know what Yuha means by communicating. As Ho and Long Long continue to discuss, Liu Feng watches them from afar, and he tells himself that he has to look for an evidence to spoil Ho. Then a woman comes to ask Ho if he is Zhang Hao, and when Ho asks who she is, Liu Feng mime takes a picture and laughs as he has found something to use against Ho. The woman who is the secretary to Wei apologizes to Ho for trying to force him the last time he went to their office, but Ho tells her that he is not interested in signing their contract. Then she also begs him that he should try to talk to Wei, as she was also sent by Wei to him. Ho agrees to call Wei, and when he begins to talk to Wei, he tells Wei that he is not interested, but Wei tells him that she can make him stronger than a woman, as she has noticed that he has tried to be a strong man when they fought the time he went to their office. Ho agrees to meet with Wei, and he tells himself that Wei knows how to hit him in his weak points. The following day, Kin drops Ho in school, and all the students begin to wonder who the expensive car has come to drop off. When they see that it is Ho, they begin to talk bad about him, but unknown to Ho, he walks to his class. Some students stand in the hallway, and they begin to talk about how bad Ho has become because of his beauty. Long Long tells Ho that he has notices that everyone has been avoiding them, and Ho tells him that he knows about it, and soon they sit in the class. And when a student wanted to collect Ho's homework, he asked Ho if he had time to do the homework, as he has been serving many women, but Long Long immediately stands up and he yells at the student for slandering Ho in such a manner. Long Long checks his phone and he sees the picture that was posted there regarding Zhao, but suddenly, the teacher comes to the class and she summons Ho, and when they get to her office, she asks him if he knows what is happening on the school forum, and he tells her that he has just seen it. She begins to advise Ho that he should not try to go after women, but he immediately tells her that the picture was of his sister dropping him at school, and the second woman only came to see him for an important discussion. Ho explains to his teacher, and he tells her to investigate the matter well, as he is going to call his elder sister to come and testify. Soon, Kin comes to the school, and she tells the teacher that she is Ho's elder sister. Then she offers to help Ho with the issue, but he immediately tells her to go back to her work, as he would handle it himself. As Ho exits the teacher's office, Yuan comes to meet him that Long Long had told her that he was going to investigate the matter, but he already sent her a message that he found out that it was Liu Feng and his friends that posted the pictures on the school forum. Ho immediately asks her if Long Long is back, but she tells him that he is not back. Then Ho becomes worried. Ho and the ladies begins to look for Long Long. Then he goes to ask Yuan and Yuha if they had gotten any message from any of the students, and Yuha tells him that a student had told her that she had seen Long Long with Liu Feng and his friends at the toilet behind the playground. Ho and the girls immediately run to the toilet, and as he gets there, Long Long has already been hitting the door. Then he tells Long Long to stay back, as he would tell Yuha to kick the door open. Yuha opens the door with her kick, and when they see Long Long, he tells them that Liu Feng and his friends had bullied him and locked him inside the toilet, and they had poured milk on his body. And as Ho takes Long Long out of the toilet, he tells Long Long that he would make sure to have a revenge on Liu Feng after school. But Long Long tells him not to do anything to Liu Feng, as he would report to the teacher. Ho tells Long Long that they should not report to the teacher because he would make sure he deals with Liu Feng, as he has been looking for trouble. After school, Ho and his friends meets Liu Feng and Ho beats him up. Then he tells him that he is giving him two options, as he can either apologize to him and Long Long while he records it in order to post on the school forum, or he should be reported to the teacher, who would definitely check the surveillance camera footage for a piece of evidence. After thinking for a while, Liu Feng agrees to apologize to the two of them, as he tells himself that he cannot be reported to the teacher, as it would be of great disadvantage to him. After recording the video of Liu Feng apologizing, Long Long asks Ho if Liu Feng would not bother them, and Ho tells him that he would not dare to bother them again. Later that night, Ho walks with Yue, and he asks her if she knows about Wei, and Yue tells him that Wei is the head of her family, and she is the most powerful member. Then Ho also asks if the Wei family is more powerful than Yue's family, but Yue ignores him. Then he tells himself that he has to meet with Wei the following day. In Wei's house, Wei begins to tell herself that she has not received a call from Ho since their last call. Then she asks herself why she has been thinking about him since that time. Suddenly her secretary comes in and tells her that they have a meeting to attend. Then she tells the secretary to prepare the car for their meeting. Meanwhile, Kin takes Ho to a restaurant, and when they get there, Ho asks Kin why the restaurant is looking luxurious, and she tells him that she wants to comfort him because he was misunderstood in his school earlier in the day. As they enter, Ho suddenly sees Wei, and he asks himself what she was doing in the restaurant. Then he goes to sit with his sister. Kin then tells Ho that he can order anything he wants. Then he asks her if he can get a drink as an adult, and she tells him that he can drink as their parents are not around, so he could behave recklessly. Then he tells himself that he has not taken alcohol since he entered the new world, and he is a great drinker. Ho is given the L, and after a few minutes, he tells his sister that he is feeling dizzy, and she asks him if he is drunk, but he tells her that he is okay, as he only needs to go to the restroom to wash his face. On getting to the restroom, Ho uses water to wash his face, and he suddenly sees a lady beside him, and he immediately yells at her as he asks her what she is doing in the men's restroom. And the lady tells him that he is in the ladies' restroom. Ho becomes shocked as he realizes that he is drunk for him to have entered the ladies' restroom. Without knowing, then he immediately rushes as he tries to run out of the restroom before they send him away. As Ho runs away, he suddenly enters the toilet and sees a lady who turned out to be Wei. She begins to ask him why he has not called her back. Then he tells her that he had already planned on meeting her the following day. Then she tells him to reply her, as she wants him to be her man, but Ho does not give her any reply. She continues to make Ho uncomfortable, and when Ho sees the opportunity, he immediately tickles her and escapes. Ho runs to meet Kin, and he tells her that he is feeling weird. Then he begins to throw up, and Kin tells him that they should go home. On getting home, Ho lays on his bed drunk, and when Kin asks him to come and take a drink to make him sober, but he tells her that he is okay. Suddenly, Kin goes to check him, and when she sees him, he has fallen asleep, and she gives him a kiss on the lips and tells him that they would soon be together again. Ho suddenly flips Kin over, and he begins to lay in her body because he thinks he is dreaming about his sister, Kin. But as he tries to do something outrageous to his sister, he falls asleep again, and Kin tucks him in for him to sleep. She suddenly sees that his phone is ringing, and when she checks, she sees that it is Zhang Ying. Then Ying tells Ho how she likes him, but Kin immediately tells her that she is the one talking. Kin also tells Ying that she would but agree to have Ho fall in love in high school. But after dropping the call, Kin goes to meet Ho and kisses him in his forehead, as she tells herself that she would control herself and also take her time for him to be for her alone. The following morning, Ho wakes up, and he notices that he is hungover as his whole body is weak. He greets Kin and walks to the mirror, but he suddenly sees some marks on his neck, and he immediately remembers his dream. Then he asks himself if his sister had tried to do something to him while he was asleep. Ho answers his sister's greeting, and she suddenly looks at him, and she tells him that he has an alcohol allergy. Then she immediately hacks his neck, and he tells himself that he does not believe that the marks are signs of an allergy. Kin tells him that she is a doctor, and she is able to confirm that he has a reaction due to the alcohol he took. Then she also tells him that he should eat his breakfast so that he would not be late for school. As Ho walks with Long Long in school, Long Long asks Ho why he is wearing a high-collar shirt as it is hot, but Ho tells him that he is not afraid of the heat as a real man. Suddenly, some boys stop them and ask Ho if he is the popular boy who they have heard about, but Ho grabs the boy who dragged his clothes and he starts to beat him up. Lin, who is the leader of the gang, then comes and tells Ho how impressed he is, and he also tells him that he has seen the reason why Ying likes him so much. Lin introduces himself to Hao, and Long Long immediately tells Hao that he is the captain of the basketball team who is also in Ying's class. Then Hao tells Lin that he does not have the time to fight with them, and he also adds that they should go and talk to Ying if they have any problem regarding her issue. Hao walks away, and soon he and Long Long meet with Yue, who offers to go and beat up the boys that had bothered him, but he tells her not to bother as he only wants her to be teaching him. Ko asks them what they are doing after school, and Hao tells him that he can join them as Yue is teaching him how to box, but Long Long tells them that he is just a little lady, and he can only do simple sports like swimming. In We's house, she swims, and after swimming, she begins to wonder why she can only think about Hao. Then she tells her secretary that she should make sure she brings Hao to her villa once he is done with school. At the school's warehouse, Hao tells them to work on their core strength as his constitution is still so weak, and he sees that he wants to have abs. Yue then asks him if he means and shows him her stomach. He tries to cover his face as he says he did not see anything but notices that she actually has abs, and he begins to touch it. Long Long begins to wonder why she has not rejected him, and Long Long tells Hao that he thinks she is weird and begins to wonder if he wants her to do something else for him. Hao then asks her how much she has with him, and he asks her to give it to him. She then brings out the money with her, and she plans to tell him her password, but Long Long stops her, and she tells Hao that they are friends and they cannot say no to each other. Hao sees it all to be weird and tells them that they will continue the following day, and he leaves. Hao then sees that he is in a good mood, and he begins to wonder why he is in a bad mood, and he sees his little sister, and he begins to wonder why she is all alone, and she tells him that her teacher wants her to give away the bag of candies as they are doing social practices. Hai takes the candy and begins to wonder why it tastes like smoke. He sees that it explodes in his mouth and suddenly passes out. He opens his eyes and he sees that he is tied up on a bed. Ho begins to wonder where he is and why he is being tied up. He asks the men who they are, and he asks them what they plan on doing to him. Hav sees that he has been kidnapped and begins to wonder how elementary students can smoke. She tells him that her mother is thirsty and she looks younger, but she is ordered to leave so that their boss can have time with Hao. Wei then tells him to keep quiet and not bother her while she is walking, and he becomes surprised because he is being tied up. She then stands up and tells him not to disobey her again, or she will do something terrible to him. He then asks her why she has him tied up and reminds her that he has done a lot of homework for her, and he immediately begins to remind her. He begins to talk about her family and tells her that he just wants to live an ordinary life and have nothing to do with her, and asks her to untie him. She then pauses and asks him if he is not saying how, and he suddenly becomes very surprised. She releases him as she asks him if he does a lot of research and tells him that he is a single-parent family, brought up by his father alone, and received the best masculine education from his father. She tells him what people say about him and immediately considers him a tough guy, and she informs him that there are two people with his face, and he sees that he is careless and begins to wonder how she came to a conclusion that he is not Hao, and she tells him another point as she notices that he is not excited when she is in front of him. Hao begins to wonder why he should be excited and asks her if she thinks that because she is famous, but she tells him that he is her fan. He becomes surprised and tells her that it cannot be, and she tells him that he has publicly confessed it and tells him to check it out. Hao brings out his phone and sees that her claims are correct, and he suddenly becomes surprised. She tells him not to tell her that he has a split personality amnesia, and she tells him that she can bet that he is not a split personality after analyzing his game records. Hai tells her that no normal person would think that way, and even if he changes his soul, what would she do, and sees that she is just like him. She informs him that her team is studying a rare moon phenomenon, and tells him that according to the study that she has gathered, the personality mutation comes after the blood moon, and informs him that he is related to the phenomenon. He begins to wonder how she is so sure, and she tells him that if he joins their investigation, she will tell him why. He deliberates about it for a while, and she tells him to be calm about it, and he asks her who else is involved in it except her, and she tells him that she is the only one. She hands him the contract, and he tells her that he will take a look at the contract, and he talks to her for a while and tells her that it is too late and it is time for his family to find him. He leaves. She immediately tells him that she hopes he will not wait to get a response from him, and she immediately grabs him and she begins to spank him on his butt. He continues to hold his butt on his way home, and he sees Kin Kin and asks her if she is going out, judging from the way she is dressed. She immediately hugs him and tells him that she has been very worried about him, and he asks about his dad and his aunt. She then asks him where he went and why he came back so late, but he tells her that he went shopping for a while and has forgotten to check the time. He then tells her that he is sweating and he would like to take a shower, and she asks him if he went shopping with a girl, as she smells a little perfume on him. Ho becomes surprised and asks her if he smells like a woman, and sees that Wai's scent is so strong. He comes up with an excuse to deceive his sister, and she tells him to be careful next time so that he will not be taken advantage of. She then tells him to go take a shower and promises to help him wash his clothes. Meanwhile, Wai immediately tells her secretary to investigate someone, and the stepsister sees that she is the stepsister of Hao. The president then tells her that she has always seen that her process of becoming Hao's sister is very coincidental. Hao comes out of the bathroom and tells his sister that he is done, and he sees her standing close to the refrigerator. She then asks him if he would want a drink, and he tells her that he wants cow milk. He sees that she has a good figure, and he asks her to come to the room as he would like to help her wipe her hair. Hao sees that someone has sent her a message, and he sees that it is someone he is familiar with, but his sister tells him to tell him that she has a boyfriend. Hao tells her not to bother about such a person, and she becomes happy as she sees that Hao cares about her so much. Hao sees that she has gone to take a shower, and immediately helps her to block the person. He sees that she has a secret book, and his name is not in it, and he suddenly begins to wonder if she actually loves him, and he immediately breaks down. During the school break the following day, he begins to have crazy thoughts about him and his sister, and he sees that he has company. He tells Hao that he heard that he is also broadcasting live on the Douyu platform, and he would like to compete in terms of popularity, and he would like to see if Hao is stronger than him. Hao tells him that he is not interested, and he begins to make fun of him, and he promises him an armband, and tells him that he does not have any time for salt. He becomes angry at Hao and tells him not to be arrogant, as he is certain that he is going to lose in the night. Long Long suddenly comes out of nowhere and tells him that Hao is not afraid of him, and he tells him that Hao's popularity is way more than his in the live broadcast, and they plan to wait till night. Hao begins the broadcast and he tells them that it will be the Game of Kings, and he begins his game and sees that he has won, and suddenly sees Wei, and he begins to wonder if she is reminding him of the agreement. Hao sees that he does not know what the Blood Moon mission is, and he does not feel wise to tie himself on a boat like that. At the Lin Zhong house, Zhong thanks everyone for the yacht. Hao then goes to the flower shop. He remembers that his sister said she wants to buy lilies, and decides to help her get it. Suddenly he is being noticed, and his report goes to Wei, and the secretary tells her that Douyu has an anchor named Lin Zhong who has a good relationship with Hao. Wei orders her to terminate the contract with Lin Zhong, and informs her that the rest is up to her. Hao begins to wonder where he can get the amount of money to purchase so many yachts, and he receives a call, and he is informed that it is Wei. His sister suddenly comes in and asks him who he is speaking to on the phone, and Wei immediately becomes angry and asks for a car. Hao sees that it is impolite to hang up the phone, but decides to call back so as to discuss how to return the money. He is informed to come outside of the house, and Hao goes out to see what is going on, and he sees that there are a lot of cars waiting outside his building. He immediately tells her that if she goes ahead with her plan, he will call the police on her. She tells him to try it and see if it is illegal to park his car at the side of the toad, and he immediately becomes speechless. He then agrees and tells her that he will be coming out. He begins to go out and tells his sister that he will be going to the store, and she insists on following him, but he tells her that he will go by himself. Hao goes out and Wei asks him who else he has offended because he is being monitored. Wei begins to direct him, and he begins to wonder if the method is reliable, as he tells her that it is dangerous for him, and he thinks he should be going back. She asks him if he is not afraid that the person will get into his house in the future, and she tells him to try and lure him out so that she can get rid of him. She tells him to wait there as she plans to come over. The secretary begins to wonder if she will be going, and Hao tells her to hurry up, as he notices that the other party seems to be impatient. Hao then asks him about his identity and sees that he is being attacked by the unknown man, and he begins to dodge the attacks of the man, and he immediately sees that the man is fierce, but he notices that he is not fast. The attacker then tries to attack him, but he immediately dodges and the attacker falls to the floor. Hao quickly asks why he is being attacked by the attacker, and that attacker tells him that he would not have ended in the situation if it were not for him. Hao then asks him to take off the mask, but the attacker manages to escape him and pulls out a knife and tries to kill him. The attacker suddenly receives a blow from Wei, and they notice that the mask of the attacker has fallen off. Wei then tells her that she thought she would flee to another province, but she did not expect her to come and make trouble for Hao. Hao then sees that it is Liu, and he tells her that he only refused her adoption and asks her if she would want his life. Lin begins to have a heated argument with Hao, and Wei stops them and tells Liu that imprisoning her has nothing to do with Hao, as she has gone too far. Wei then mentions her offense and tells her that her men cannot tolerate a scum like her, and she must liquidate her. Liu then tries to attack Wei, but Wei uses her hand to stop her attack, and they both begin to battle one another. Hao tells them that he will leave, and he begins to wonder how much Wei Wan called him, and he sees that the issue has been finally solved. Hao tells her to send him back as his sister will be worried about him, but Wei asks him if he has forgotten what she came to see him for. She tells him that the contract is part of why she came, but she also came to inform him that someone is secretly taking his nudes. Wei tells him not to worry about who is going to take the photos, but tells him that she is angry because he hangs the call on her. Hao immediately apologizes to her as he was wrong to hand the call on her, and she asks him if he is willing to accept the punishment. Hao becomes surprised and wonders what the punishment is. Wei suddenly comes close to him and kisses him, and Hu immediately freezes. Hao begins to wonder if he should push her away, but he also sees that her lips are really comfortable. He also sees that she is a very beautiful woman, and he is a normal man, and he asks Wei if she has some special XP, and asks her why she played hooligan to him, and he is a high school student. He also tells her that it is his first kiss. Ha then tells her that it is not the point, but tells her that she took his first kiss, and she took advantage of him. He then asks her if she paid for the gifts from the live broadcast, and he tells her that he will refund the money to her, and she gives him an account. She then notices that he does not intend to sign the contract with her, and he tells her that he cannot explain it to her, and he tells her that he is too tired, and he would want to get back. Wei remains speechless and begins to watch him leave. Hao arrives at his house and he sees that when he was with Wei, he immediately sees a flash of his sister Kin in his mind, and he immediately tells himself to let go as that is his sister. The following day, Ho greets Yuhua, and he thinks to himself that he spent his day with a domineering president, and getting along with Yuhua would not be difficult. Ho notices that her silk is black and sees that it used to be white all the time, and he sees that it is the first time he will see her on black. She calls him and he tells her that he has a gift for her, and he hands her a keychain and he thanks her for teaching him martial arts. She looks at it for a while, and she thanks him and tells him that she will cherish it very much. Ho becomes happy that she likes it, and he begins to wonder why she looks different. She immediately notices that he is staring at her legs, and she asks him what is wrong with her legs, and she tries to hide it. Ha then goes to have lunch with her, and he asks her why she is staring at her legs, and she tells him that it is because he has seen a lot, and she asks him if he likes her legs, and he tells her that her legs are really beautiful. She then tells him that he can touch, and tells him that after meeting him, she is happy that she got to have dinner with him. He begins to think if he should touch her legs, but instead asks her if she would mind sitting on his laps. She immediately drops her lunch and sits on his laps, and he begins to wish his sister was very obedient like her. He then asks her if she is not disgusted, but she tells him that she is only disgusted a little, and she tells him that no one has hugged her in that manner ever before. Hao sees that she lacks love, and he begins to wonder if it has something to do with her family or her environment. He immediately sees that keychain he gave her on her wrist, and he asks her why she hangs it like a bracelet, and she tells him that it is the first time she has received a gift from a friend, and she would like to keep it so close to her. Hao becomes surprised that it is her first gift, and she tells him that the rest only asked her to give them money, and she has never been given any gift. They talk for a while, and Hao tells her that the chain is meant for her bag, and he will get her the chain for her hand, and she becomes happy. He then insists they eat quickly as classes are about to start. Hao goes to class and discovers something strange in his locker, and he is suddenly embarrassed and accused of bringing something that creepy to school. A student attacks Hao, blaming him for ruining the atmosphere in the school due to what was brought out of his locker. Then the students begin to talk about how Zhao is a person of no respect or value. Some girls tell the student that Hao is not someone like that, as she knows his character so well. Then Hao begins to think that he has to look for the person that is trying to make him look like a bad person in front of the whole school. Long goes to meet Hao, and he asks him why he is not feeling happy, but they begin to wonder who would have put such in his locker. Several days pass by and Hao continues to see the things in his locker. On the field during their exercises, Long tells Hao that he had heard some students talk about him, and he tells Long that he would find something to do, as the person spends a lot of money because of him. Then he gets angry and asks Yuhua to do something for him. Later that night, all of them gather in the school, and they all wait so that they would be able to catch the thief. Then they all go to rest in the corners of the classroom. When the colonel enters the class to put the thing in Hao's locker, he suddenly triggers an alarm, as he does not know that they have fixed an alarm system there. As they all come out to see the culprit, they all see Lin, and Ho becomes angry as he tells him that he has been repeating it for 8 days, and Hao suddenly throws the thing at Lin. If you made it this far, let's confuse the fake fans amongst us and comment, will Hao be safe? Kindly subscribe and blow this video up with your likes. Until next time, do take care and stay safe.